everyone. I love that video. I've seen it so many times and it still moves me, and I think that's because it accurately reflects the heart of Forward Edge, and we hope it's reflecting the heart of God. If you don't know me yet, or if I don't know you, my name is Tim Ainley, and I've been with Forward Edge for 14 years, and I've had the privilege and the honor of being the CEO since 2022. And I want to thank you all for coming tonight, for being here, for giving up a precious Saturday evening to be here with us, transforming the lives of children around the world. It really is awesome to see you. I especially want to thank those of you who are with us for the first time. Maybe somebody brought you tonight and you don't even know who Forward Edge is, and I love this opportunity to share with you a little bit more about who we are. Let's start by talking about our name, Forward Edge. What does that mean? Where did it come from? I get asked that question a lot. And when our founder, Joseph Anfuso, coined that name for this organization over 41 years ago, he defined it this way. He said, when God directs people to put their faith into action, and they respond with obedience, even without knowing what lies ahead, they're stepping out onto life's forward edge. Let me give you an example. A colleague of mine, one of my friends, Taylor, he got to lead a Forward Edge mission team earlier this year of high school students to Ghana. And just before departing, Taylor felt this prompting from God to buy a Bible and to bring it with him to give to somebody that he met on this trip. He had no idea who it would be, but he knew that he had this sense of God calling him to do it. He felt this prompting at the last minute, actually. He was in the airport, and miraculously he found one at a bookstore in the terminal. So he goes on this trip, brings this Bible, and for most of the week, he's not sure he has clarity on who it's for. So he feels like God's inviting him to ask this team, what do they think? These high school students, who do they think this Bible might be for? And the students recommended a young woman that they had met in one of the villages. Her name was Talata. Talata had never heard of Jesus before until the team told her about him. And they all agreed that this Bible was to go to Talata. And as the team was leaving, they were in the airport ready to come back to the States. They gave the Bible to our director in Ghana, Jonathan. And Jonathan took that Bible straight from the airport to Talata's village. And as he drove up, Talata ran out to meet him. And she said, Jonathan, did you get my message? And Jonathan, he said, no. What message? She said, I asked my mom to reach out to you to see if you could find a Bible for me. Jonathan got to tell her, no, I never got that message. But God did. He knew exactly what she needed. And he, in advance, sent Taylor and this team to bring it to her. See, Taylor chose to respond to that prompting that he felt to buy this Bible without knowing who it was for. And look what God did. This is what happens when people step out onto life's forward edge. Our vision at Forward Edge is to see people around the world overcome spiritual and material poverty through Jesus Christ. Because we believe that every person matters to God and was made to matter in this world. But some people are held back from that freedom and that potential by material poverty. Their life is stuck in a constant struggle just to survive. And all of us, and I do mean all of us, are held back by spiritual poverty, also known as sin. Every human being needs internal transformation, internal healing to reach their full God-given potential that we believe is only found through Jesus Christ. We want to see every person that we encounter overcome both kinds of poverty and pursue God's extraordinary purpose for their lives. So how do we pursue this vision? Well, that brings us to our mission. Our mission is to transform the lives of children trapped in poverty through Christ-centered holistic care. Holistic meaning, as Dale said, their mind, their body, their spirit, all of them. See, we follow the way of Jesus, who specifically served the poor and the oppressed and the forgotten, and who said, let the children come to me. So that's what we're determined to do. Empowering children is a very effective way to make a positive and lasting difference in the world. As Frederick Douglass said it so eloquently, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So as of today, Forward Edge has 8 programs in 8 different countries around the world, impacting more than 5,000 children every single day. And God willing, we will have more in the future. Our programs are in Cuba, Haiti, Kenya, Kosovo, Ghana, Mexico, Nicaragua, and Uganda. And the directors of each of these programs are local people, pastors, community leaders, with a calling to serve their own community. Many of them grew up in very similar situations to the children that they're now serving. Like Jane Wathagana, for example, our director in Kijabe, Kenya. See, Jane grew up extremely poor in Kijabe. Her family was often hungry, lacking basic necessities, but her mother, Mama Beth, she found ways to keep Jane and her siblings in school, even while most of their peers were dropping out because either they didn't value education or they didn't have the money to pay for tuition. So after Jane grew up, she left the house. She went on to university, became a very successful businesswoman in the safari industry in Nairobi. And meanwhile, her mother, Mama Beth, with her huge heart, she began feeding other hungry neighborhood children in Kijabe. In fact, more than 60 children were showing up to her house every single day for a meal. And over the years, Jane helped her mother care for these children. Yet she would always say that she was just doing this to help her mother. But in 2015, as Mama Beth's health began to fail, Jane began to feel a calling from God to carry on what her mother had started. And she decided to say yes to that prompting, to step out onto life's forward edge. And today, 9 years later, Jane has an entire team, an entire staff now, that together they're providing meals for more than 1,000 children every single day in and around Kijabe. And they've launched a free private Christian preschool and kindergarten. They built homes for single mother families, provided safe drinking water to the community, and every year sold hundreds of school uniforms for families that can't afford them otherwise. This is what happens when people step out onto life's forward edge. For many years internally at Forward Edge, we called our directors like Jane by a different name. We called them Pearl Partners. This name originated from a board member years ago who was trying to explain just how rare and special these children are. Because you know, in the ocean there are many oysters, but few of them have pearls inside. They're rare. What you may not know is that a pearl is created in an oyster as a defense mechanism when an irritant or a parasite threatens to enter its body. In the same way, we partner with leaders who have risen up to defend children trapped in poverty, motivated by their faith in Christ. And this is a calling on their life. They would be sacrificially serving these children in need, whether Forward Edge was around to help them or not. See, discovering a Pearl partner like this is absolutely necessary to a successful children's program. We won't move forward without one. That's because we've learned that trying to solve problems for the poor from the outside is ineffective. What works best is empowering them to solve their own problems through local leaders who know how to help their people better than we do. They are stepping out onto life's forward edge, and we want to support them in that step of faith. You know, we all have opportunities to step out in faith like that. Like Taylor did and the team, like Jane did 9 years ago. Every single day we have these opportunities, some big, some small. Even the children and the families that we serve have these kinds of opportunities. I want to share with you about some of those. This summer at our newest program in Kosovo, our Pearl partners there, Matush and Norakaya, they were hosting a summer camp for children. And most of these children had no idea what summer camp even was. And two of them, brothers named Donat and Leo, they weren't sure they wanted to go to this summer camp thing. because they didn't own any shoes and they were embarrassed. But after Matusha and Nora bought them a pair of shoes, new tennis shoes, they decided to risk it and try that summer camp thing out. I'm glad they did, because both Donat and Leo gave their lives to Jesus at that camp. So did their sister and mother when they came back. And their mother had this to say about the experience, and I quote it from her. "I've never been accepted by anyone like the way I am by you. I feel warmth and love like never before, and my heart is pleased to see how much joy my children had at camp and the way that they were treated." This is what happens when people step out onto life's forward edge. I want to tell you about two amazing young women in our programs. The first one is Nubia in Oaxaca, Mexico. Nubia has been in our Oaxaca program since we adopted it 13 years ago. And in elementary school, she struggled with failing grades and came from a very challenging home environment. She was often told by family members that she was fat, stupid, and would never amount to anything. But every day, Nubia would come to our program for a meal and homework help. And our directors there, our Pearl partners, Victor and Letty Velasco, they would tell Nubia over and over again that she was beautiful, that she was smart, that Jesus loved her, and that God had a purpose for her life. It took a little step of faith every single day for Nubia to begin believing what Victor and Letty were telling her, to believe the truth about who she was. But she did. And slowly she began to build confidence. Over the course of 13 years, Nubia grew into a strong young lady and a leader among the children in the program. She became the first in her family to graduate high school and to go to college. And she's just about to graduate as a nurse.
Yeah.
Her family relationships are much healthier. She loves teaching the younger children in Sunday school about the love and the hope that she found in Jesus through Victor and Letty. This is what happens when people step out onto life's forward edge. The other young woman I want to tell you about is Reina. She lives in Nicaragua. Reina's father drowned when she was a child while trying to save someone in a flood during Hurricane Mitch. And her mother turned to prostitution, trying to keep food on the table. 10 years ago, Reina was given the opportunity to join our residential program for at-risk girls called Via Esperanza. She was scared to leave her mother, her sister, everything that she knew. But she felt something inside nudging her that she needed to take the step of faith. And fast forward now, 10 years later. This summer, Reina is graduating from university with a degree in political science and international relations. She's fluent in English. She has a job working for a nonprofit helping girls just like her. Her childhood wounds are healed. She has a forgiven and restored relationship with her mother. But see, for Reina, choosing to join Via Esperanza and then choosing to stick with it while watching her peers get pregnant as teenagers or fall into drugs or drop out of school, those were choices, decisions over and over for Reina to step out onto life's forward edge, to trust God and His plan for her life and not go the way of her peers. Yet her story wouldn't even be possible without many others stepping out in faith. Our Pearl partners in Nicaragua, Wilbert and Gloria, who responded to God's call to start Via Esperanza in 2007. Or Reina's sponsors, some of whom are here in this room tonight, who chose to invest financially in Reina's life for many years and her future. Or the hundreds of mission team members who demonstrated the love of Jesus to her while coming to serve on mission trips. All this is what happens when people step out onto life's forward edge. I've got one last story for you. It goes back to Taylor and that team from Ghana. See, the students on that trip, they taught every child that they met on this trip, this cute little song. The chorus goes something like this. I want to be like Jesus. I want to be like Jesus. Well, a few weeks after the trip, a woman came to our director, Jonathan. She was the mother of one of the children in the program. And she said her son, Dombo, had been singing this song nonstop for the past few weeks. She didn't know what it meant. She didn't speak English. And Jonathan then got to share the gospel with this mother. And this was the mother's response. And I quote it here from Jonathan. He writes, her eyes filled with tears as she told me, I'm glad those words are coming from my son's mouth. I come from a Muslim family and am married to a Muslim. However, deep down, I know that Jesus Christ is my Savior and my Lord. He is everything to me because of what you are doing in our lives. No one has ever shown us this kind of love before, but you have. I'm afraid to let my husband know because of what he might say or do, but hearing that the song my child sings carries those words means a lot to me. It will remind me every day to live for Jesus. I'm happy God has placed this song in my child's heart. Friends, this is what happens when people step out onto life's forward edge. Jonathan, Harun, and his wife Rhoda have stepped out in faith, committing their lives to serving children and families like this one. And we'll get to hear more of their story in a few minutes. But I want to close with one last thing that Jonathan shared with me when I got to visit him in his program earlier this year. It was on that trip that I got this snazzy bow tie. Over breakfast one morning, I expressed my gratitude to Jonathan and Rhoda for their sacrificial service. And then he expressed his gratitude for Forward Edge. And he said that before we met, running his program felt like he was sitting in a boat on a lake, trying to move this thing forward by rowing with his arms, just over and over again. But he said when Forward Edge came, it was like someone gave that boat a motor. My friends, that is a beautiful picture of who Forward Edge wants to be. Tonight, each of us have an opportunity to step out onto life's forward edge. Another one. We get them every day. Tonight is another opportunity. What is it going to look like for you? Perhaps it means finally signing up for that mission trip that you've been thinking about going on for a long time. Maybe it means answering a child's prayer and becoming his or her sponsor. Or maybe deciding to sacrificially give more than the number that you had in your mind as you were driving here tonight. Or maybe it has nothing to do with Forward Edge. I don't know. I want you to follow God's leading on your heart. Or maybe for someone here, it means that for the first time, you're ready to say yes to Jesus. Maybe you're ready to let him love you finally and to follow him for who he is. If that's you, I would love to meet you. Come say hi to me after the program. Also, I invite you to visit our Haiti booth. We got a team of people that would love to pray with you. No matter what God is putting on your heart tonight, I encourage you to trust him. Take that risk and step out onto life's forward edge. Thank you.